Hello, welcome back to 50/50 Day, a global day of film, discussion, speakers. Action Pledge is all about what it's going to take to get to a more gender-balanced world.
For all genders, all races, all issues, all ages, all day.
All day. All day. We've been here all day. It has been super exciting. We've been all over the world, and you know everything. The lives.
We're going to more parts of the world.
We're going to more parts of the world,
and we still have energy.
Yeah, we still have energy. There's been caffeine, some sweets, and but mostly it's been a feast of really interesting conversations and tapping into live events. And we have some. I mean, there's 35,000 events happening in 60 countries, and we have gone to Nigeria, India, Chile, New York.
That Chile event was really awesome.
Oh, it was so,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But all of that, I mean, we just were talking to Vision 2020 in Philadelphia, who just declared Philadelphia today as 50/50 Day.
Wow.
Very exciting. And we went to Parliament and Canada, and it's been pretty amazing. I have to say, it's, you know, you set the table and then everyone exceeds your expectations, I think.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
And this is the first time we've really gone to all these events live during this live stream.
We tried last year. You know, each year this is an experiment, and last year we tried to do it, but we realized we needed to really do tech checks, and so it was a lot more. And I handed over to Mackenzie, who did a lot of that work with our partners in different parts of the world. And we have a really strong ambassador group, which I think really helped. But it's, you know, we're evolving this every time we do one of these, it gets a little bit stronger.
Definitely, and easier and more, even more fun.
Join the ambassador group.
She heard that. That's why she's so good. Join the ambassador group. If you go to Tiffany Schlain, well, yeah, but in Facebook, 50/50 Day Ambassador Group, asked to join. We're going to welcome you, and it's with a lot of like-minded, passionate people all around the world who care about this issue and are doing amazing work, and we want you all to partner and join forces and everything.
What did we launch today?
Our pledge tool. Does anyone want to talk about the pledge, Sawyer?
Sawyer.
I will talk about the pledge tool. So the pledge tool is this awesome thing. Hopefully, if you've been with us throughout the day, you may have heard about it. And all the events that we've checked into are all taking the pledges, which is awesome.
And there's been thousands and thousands of
Where do we go to
pledges.
find it?
whyipledge5050.org. You come in, you enter who you are. You're a leader of an organization, an educator, a parent, a student, an individual of any age, and then you're walked through this seamless experience of deciding how to make change in different parts of your life. And then there's a fun post-it image. You share it on social. It's going all over the place.
And then
on
we
social.
follow up with resources to kind of help you. I mean, that to me is the most, because I think I see a lot of stuff on social and people post for the day or something, and then you just feel like, yeah, but like, how do you take that next step? And we're going to stay with you and send you resources and check back in. And
we have about 100 partner organizations, I would say. About 100 partner organizations that are really leading all of this work.
To help us craft and distill the pledges.
The people that are on the front lines doing the political work, the economic
Women's
work.
Funding Network, ERA Coalition, African American Forum.
Mount St. Mary's College.
Mount St. Mary's College.
Across all
we got a prop.
The prop.
This is our poster that everybody who got it. Sorry, guys, you're blocked for a minute.
It's okay.
That's okay. We're good.
Everybody that comes in the discussion kits for every 50/50 Day event. And the pledges match basically this map. As you see, it's really intersectional. It covers all columns in all parts of our lives.
Can I read off these top headers?
Sure.
Yeah.
Including economy, politics, identity, culture, and home.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
And you know, let's take this.
And so we worked with all of the partners to create this, and we're really, you know,
this discussion
as an umbrella movement that really is trying to elevate all the work that everybody else is doing.
Yeah, and really to go deeper. And everyone, I want to do a shout out to our sponsors. This is all free. Anyone who signed up got a free discussion kit that has that cool poster, which I have on my refrigerator, which is fun to always just look at it. There's so many different parts of getting to this issue. And then we have discussion cards for all environments, whether you're a corporation or a school. And this was all made possible because we have amazing sponsors and funders. I want to give a shout out to Jackie Zahner, David and Laura Lovell Foundation, Refinery 29, Women's Funding Network, AprilSix, who helped make the Action Pledge so beautiful.
We're going to be going to their event in about an hour. They're having a huge event in Silicon Valley with all their clients in Silicon Valley, so that's really exciting.
But I want to thank a couple more people. I know we're trying to wrap it up. Susan Morrison, Ashley and Mark Merrill, Red Summit, Chime Interactive. We could not do this without, first of all, you know, the 35,000 events that are happening, they're all passionate people that made their events happen, or school districts or whatever, and then we have the funders and we have the ambassadors. It's just been such and all the partners that help us do the pledge tool. It has been a true community bringing everyone together to focus on this issue. Yeah.
And because you're going to be seeing all of us more over the next couple of hours, let's do a quick introduction.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
Sylvia
yeah.
Steele. I'm one of the co-founders of 50/50 Day.
I'm Kimberly Brooks. I'm a correspondent with Fusion TV.
Tiffany Schlane, co-founder of 50/50 Day.
And I'm Dawn Brassi. I'm here representing the gender minority ERG at Mapbox.
Woo.
And it is. Oh, and the one other thing I want to say is for on our schedule. Do you want to say when the United Farm Workers we rescheduled that?
Yeah. So there's an amazing talk or interview with two members of the United Farm Workers who will be on in about half an hour, and we are busy translating it so that as many people as possible can watch it.
Yeah, and actually I should say that the discussion kit has been translated into Spanish for this year, first time, so we're really excited about that. And all of our films are always translated into, like, how many? 6 of the most?
At least 6, yeah.
At least 6 of.
And so that one particular interview we did pre-record so that we could translate them, but other than that, you're going to be watching all these live interviews with this team right here.
And we're going live to events, which is really fun.
So for the next 2 hours, we're going to be going to events all across the world, all across the country, and talking to speakers who are also coming from all across the world, so stay tuned.
It's exciting.
And then we're going to depart because you are going into one of these interviews.
We're going to another interview, and it's going to be amazing. So
I'm
you're leaving me.
I'm leaving you.
We're not going anywhere.
Don't leave, guys.
We're still with you. Yeah,
Oh my
We're
goodness.
just repositioning you.
So I'm going to move some of these chairs
Here, let's
since
go.
we have no one
Yeah.
sitting next to me.
I left my phone in there.
Yeah.
And we're ready to go in, yes?
No, you can't walk that way. You have to crawl.
Are we ready to go in?
Yeah, we're ready to go in.
Yeah, so we've talked
Are we ready to
about
go in?
we've talked about gender equity in race and with women and in all sorts of industries and business, and now we're going to talk about it in sports. So I'm very excited to be speaking with Nancy Hogshead Makar and Chris DeSantis, and we're going to talk about this Safe Sports Act and why we need it. So before we get started, Nancy, is your last name Makar? Am I saying that correct? Hogshead Makar?
Not quite, but yeah.
Can you correct me so I
Don't
make
feel
sure I
bad
say,
because virtually nobody gets it right.
I want to get it right.
It's
So tell me,
Makar.
Makar.
It's like you're making a car.
Perfect. I got it. Okay. So Nancy is an Olympic champion. She's a civil rights lawyer and CEO of Champion Women, providing legal advocacy for girls and women in sports. She led the 8-year effort to protect athletes from sexual abuse in club and Olympic sports, that is, sports not associated with schools. And most recently, she galvanized the sport, child protection, and civil rights communities in support of a new federal law. It's called the Safe Sport Act, and it was signed into law in February 2018. Kudos to this legislation. I mean, really big deal. And then
Thank you.
we have Chris, who is a coach, a consultant, an activist in the swimming community, and through his website, he advocates for improving the state of coaching within the sport. He brings to that work his experience as an NCAA Division I and Danish junior national team coach. He was also the first full-time sports coach to graduate with a master's in applied positive psychology. I don't even know what that means in 2009. But I'm so happy you guys are here. I mean, thank you for joining us on 50/50 Day. The work you're doing is so incredible. And what I want to start with is just like really digging into how you go from being an athlete to really becoming a crusader for protecting the athletes. So what personal experience got you
Sure.
into this?
Well, I was very lucky that I had women who cared about gender equity and mentored me. So Donna DeVerona started off back in 1984. And she came to the Olympic team and talked to all of us and said, you're about to become famous. Now, what are you going to do with it? And I hope it has something to do with Title IX, because at the time there was a bad Supreme Court decision called Grove City versus Bell, which means that the part of the school that got the money couldn't discriminate, but the rest of the school could do anything it wanted to, including the athletic department. So the math department or the housing department. So anyway, so that was sort of what got me into it. Anytime somebody put a microphone in front of my face, I started talking about how grateful I was to the statute that got me a full scholarship to Duke University, that didn't matter how good I was or how talented or how hardworking I was not going to get a college scholarship if it had not been for this statute. So I sort of started off there. and went to law school and did a lot of work getting opportunities for women in sports, so that they would have the same number of sports, that they got treated the same way, and that they have the same quality coaching and facilities and everything else. We've still got a long way to go in that area. But then my work really changed to doing a lot more work with sexual violence that was in schools. And then I started getting calls from people who had the exact same situation, but who were calling from club and Olympic sport programs. And I realized that in those situations, like where Chris coaches over here, that there's very little oversight. And there's also very little accreditation that a coach needs, somebody needs. They can just hang out a shingle. So you may have heard the expression that, definitely not all coaches are pedophile. No. But all pedophiles want to be coaches.
Yeah.
So how was it that we could protect them? Because believe me, there was no legal protection for kids who are participating in Olympic sports. And that's not a small number. It's 8 million children, and it's a double that number of athletes. So it's a huge, most people, when their kid goes to their club swim program or soccer program or softball program, it is part of the Olympic movement.
Wow. And Chris, how did you get involved in wanting to also be a part of the protection of these athletes? What in your life inspired you to do this?
Well, I got out into the coaching world, and very quickly you see the environment that Nancy is talking about. And I think, it's important to recognize, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people, that it's not only a toxic environment for kids that are getting abused, it's a toxic environment for everybody. Mm-hmm. So there should be a lot of cross-sectionality on this issue, because if we can make sports a safe place for kids, if we can make it a welcoming place for everybody, men, women, of all genders, all sexual identities, if we can cut across all these groups and have a really inclusive, safe environment, it's actually better for everybody involved. And, I think that we still have a lot of progress to make in the swimming world. And when I was swimming, I just absolutely, I fell in love with the sport. I loved it so much. I always knew I wanted to be a coach. I'm a coach because I had some women that mentored me when I was really young. Susan Sotier, Jen Dutton, Hannah Turlish. These were incredible women that were my high school swim coaches. And I wouldn't be in this profession without them. And I think about them a lot when I do this work. And I think there's a lot left to do, and but there's a lot of momentum to do it right now.
There's a lot of momentum.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Hey, Chris, in your level of coaching, what percentage are women?
Well, I will tell you, when I was coaching in Denmark, this is, and we think of Denmark as a country with great, gender equity in many ways, that they're at the front of the field. I can tell you, we had about 50 full-time swim coaches in that country. There was one non-man in that whole place. And I remember when she got fired, for a while, it looked like there was going to be nobody. And it was just an incredible disparity in this field. When you get to the top level, I think, Kaylin Ralph put together a really good article that Nancy and I both gave some interviews for in, I'm blanking on the name of the magazine online, but it highlighted the fact that in swim coaching writ large, it's actually pretty close to 50-50, but once you get up to the top levels, it quickly becomes just men, and mainly just white men. So, there's not a lot of inclusiveness at that level. And frankly, we're missing out on so many talented people if we have it set up that way.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
So speaking of that momentum, I wanna ask you, Nancy, about the Safe Sport Act, which I find just fascinating, especially in the wake of Larry Nassar and all of this abuse and the Me Too movement and everything that's happening right now. I want you to explain what the tenets of this act really are, because the passage of this legislation is so important and critical right now. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and I think it's important for everybody out there to recognize what their both responsibilities are and what their rights are under this statute. So first of all, it makes just about everybody within the Olympic movement a mandatory reporter. This includes coaches and athletes and officials and club owners and everybody, and including in some cases a lot of parents as well. So if they have a reasonable suspicion, then they need to go report it to the police. In addition, they need to report it to the United States Center for Safe Sport. Now, this is a big deal. As far as I know, I wrote the first draft of what this new entity was supposed to look like. And it's kind of like a school's Title IX department or a business's HR department. So you report to them and they do the investigation and they hold the hearing, and then they determine whether or not this coach needs to be kicked out or not. So it prohibits coaches from being alone with athletes without being in an observable and interruptible distance. It lengthens the statute of limitations, which we just saw in the Bill Cosby case, how important it was to have long amounts of time. It makes the Olympic Committee take the responsibility for education and for making sure that athletes are not subject to physical, emotional, or sexual abuse.
Wow.
And that's huge.
These are huge. I mean, you think about an athlete who's trying to process what happened to them, all of these things, it gives time, it makes people accountable. So it's pretty incredible. Before we wrap up, I want to know what you guys think. Of course, this is 50-50 days, so I want to know your thoughts on what 50-50 representation in sports does for everyone. How does it make sports safer when everything's balanced?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Chris, because he's on the deck and I'm not. I'm behind a computer screen most of the day. So, Chris, what is it like for men? What is it like for everybody to have 95% of the coaches on the deck be men?
I mean, I just think it's a huge missed opportunity, and I've seen so many people wash out of the coaching ranks who are incredible people. They got dejected. There was an old boys network that was blocking them from advancement, and they just felt it was like a hopeless situation, and they gave up. And that is terrible for the sport we're taking part in. I think there's two parts to this. I think male coaches, they should absolutely get behind this because it's the right thing to do. That's just a fact. But it also is not a good environment for us. I think if men really reflect on the culture and the environment that we've created, then they can see that if we make a change for a more equitable sport, it's going to be better for all of us. And that to me is where I get really excited because, I love swimming, but I can see a better future for swimming. And I really want to see that happen.
How does having 95% of coaches intersect with this issue of sexual abuse?
Well, I think that, especially men, because they're not as greatly affected by this issue of abuse, it for a lot of them, they can pick it up and they can put it down as an issue when they feel like it. And for a lot of the more vulnerable people in swimming, they don't have that choice. This is something that they have to confront every day. For the most vulnerable people in our sport, they have no choice. And we need more people who have had that experience in positions of power so that we can create a more safe environment and a more empathetic environment for the most vulnerable people and the people who have been hurt in our sport, and welcome them in and give them the help that they need and get the bad actors out.
I like that. Guys, we're going to have to wrap up soon, but I do want to get your closing thoughts on how being equally represented, having that balance, really will push for a safer environment for these athletes. Why does that matter for you guys?
So I'll go first. Having a critical mass of women will change the conversation. So I'm still doing way too much coaching online. I get onto these coaches' blogs or the Facebook groups, and coaches still don't see what's wrong with quote unquote dating their athletes so long as it's not illegal. Now, attorneys don't ask that, teachers don't ask that, doctors don't ask that, religious leaders don't ask that, right? So everybody else gets training on why that's an abuse of power and how much power that coaches have over athletes. One of the things that those amazing gymnasts did for all of us, let's give them a round of applause, is that they showed us, number one, how damaging that sexual abuse really is for everybody. And they also showed how that they had to be compliant and they couldn't complain in order to make the Olympic team. And so if they can't complain, if they can't say what's wrong out there, then that's a huge problem with culture. And I firmly believe that had there been over 30%, 50% at least, then it's going to be a much safer environment for all kids.
Absolutely. And Chris, what do you think about this balance that we need? How does it make things safer?
I just think we're going to have more people in the room who can empathize with the people who have been most hurt. And, that is going to, in so many little ways. I think we talk all the time about one thing I have to get frustrated with my male colleagues with too is on a even more superficial level than Nancy's talking about, that they don't get why they can't date an athlete or whatever. They'll say something bland like, oh, we need people to come forward. Well, we need to create an environment where people want to come forward,
Right.
And until we change that culture so that they know there are people who are going to listen to them, who understand what they've been through on the other end, we are not going to get anywhere near everybody to come forward. And so we've got a lot of work to do in that. But I think this equity that holds a promise for a better world in that.
Well, a lot of it thanks to you guys for doing the work. So we appreciate it. The sports community appreciates it. Everyone appreciates it because it really benefits everyone. So guys, Nancy, Chris, thank you so much for your time and joining us on 50/50 Day.
And I'm going to throw something into
yes,
you.
Hold on one second.
People can make a pledge
Yes.
to educate themselves on about the Safe Sports Act at our pledge tool.
Do you hear that? So we have this pledge tool. You can go to whyipledge at 5050.org. And one of the pledges people can make is educating themselves on how you can be safer in sports with the work of Nancy and Chris, like the work with you guys.
My organization, Champion Women, along with the Equality League, put together some really great information and little bullet points on what the Safe Sport Act requires and how exactly that it protects athletes from abuse. Hopefully we'll never have a Larry Nassar again.
Absolutely.
So it'd be great if people got that material.
I hope everyone was listening. Watch it again, get the information, learn, educate yourself, because they're putting it out there for us. So guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks for having us,
yes,
Kimberly.
Of course,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Yes.
50/50.
50/50. Awesome. Yes.
I'm
Tiffany,
to join you.
You're coming back. Thank you. I was getting lonely.
You're getting lonely.
Yes.
I missed you. It was like, I don't know, 20 minutes without my Kim. Okay.
Good conversation.
Oh, that was it. Tell me what your thoughts about it were. I mean, that's so intense that that just wrecked me when,
It's like such a responsibility, and I think what she really points out is that there's a misconception about what victims of abuse go through.
Yeah.
And so the sort of things that she's put forth in this legislation are so critical and going to provide so much help in a safe environment for these people to come forward and say if anything's happening for them. And hopefully it never happens again or in the same frequency.
Well, and just like the number, just in Denmark when he was talking about the number of male coaches and I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm a mother of 2 daughters, and just, thank goodness for the work that they're doing. And I love that idea of, a lot of this about educating ourselves. So we have a specific pledge about what their work is about.
Safe Sports Act.
Safe Sports Act, and it's a specific pledge you can make on our whyipledge5050.org tool. And
they'll be sent it. If they ask for resources, they'll actually be sent it.
Everyone that does a pledge, we give specific resources based on their pledge, so you'll learn more about their work. And just grateful that they're doing it. Yeah.
All these people, like this, all this concentrated excellence it's really inspiring.
It's really, and wait till we go to the next.
It's crazy.
Are you with me when we're about to go to? You're gonna stay with me. Okay. So this is like my home. Okay, so I'm from Northern California, and I was born in a beautiful town called Mill Valley. And they happen to have the most fantastic film festival, and I'm a filmmaker, and it's like I moved back there, and so I live in Mill Valley. In the Mill Valley Film Festival, they have this amazing woman named Zoe Elton, who started a program called Mind the Gap. And Mind the Gap she's British, so of course Mind the Gap in London is Mind the Gap, but it's also Mind the Gap, the gender gap.
Nice.
So she's brilliant, and she's been really pushing ahead this initiative at the Mill Valley Film Festival with more women directors, and she did a great program today with a whole bunch of high school students. We're going to go over and find out. So this is the Mill Valley Film Festival, California Film Institute, Mind the Gap program, headed by Zoe Elton, and we're super excited to hear what happened there.
So, the Mill Valley Film Festival's Gender Equity Initiative, Mind the Gap, is hosting a 50-50 day program here with Fremont High School, with Santa Rosa High School, and with Lagunitas Middle School. And we have been looking at gender equity in film. We've looked at some film clips from old Star Wars and new Star Wars, from old Ghostbusters and new Ghostbusters, and we've looked at ways of measuring the participation of female roles in film. And we're also making pledges.
Hi, my name is Christian Gary. I go to Santa Rosa High School, and I pledge to work with females, women, and share ideas for filmmaking and use our ideas evenly.
My name is Jillian Kwok. I go to Santa Rosa High School, and I pledge as a filmmaker to include perspectives of women so that we can not only include them in film, but also create characters that have depth, complexity, and portray them in their true light.
My name is Ted Cleek. I attend Santa Rosa. My name is Ted Cleek, and I attend Santa Rosa High School, and I pledge to combat rape culture by being vocal when I hear derogatory remarks made against women and feminine-presenting people, because silence kills.
Zoe, do you want to say what your pledge? And I pledge that Mill Valley Film Festival will have 50-50 by 2020. By 2020, we will have 50-50 women directors and men directors, and maybe before 2020 if we're lucky.
Hello, we're back, and we are now very excited to tap into another very cool event happening in Washington, D.C., the Wilson. Oh, there you are. Hello. Hi, are you guys, is it started? You're just about to start?
Just about to go on air.
Oh my gosh, you sound
so
great.
To speak.
Well, we're so happy to have you as a partner for 50/50 Day, and it's been so exciting. You know, there's 35,000 events happening, and yours is one of our special ones. Can you tell everyone who you have speaking? You have such an amazing panel.
Yeah, hi, this is Gwen Young, and I'm the director of the Global Women's Leadership Initiative at the Wilson Center. And I'm here today with our panel, Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, who's the former Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs in the U.S. Department of State, Deputy Ambassador Kirsten Hillman, who's the Deputy Ambassador of Canada to the United States, Jessica Leslie, who's the Director of Programs for Vital Voices Global Partnerships, and Pele Sojanel, who's the Worldwide Chief Creative Officer for Bardo Bogle and Hegarty.
Wonderful. That's so great. So you're going to kind of walk us through the night. You're going to have, are you doing the screening and then a panel discussion, or what is the flow?
Yeah, so we're going to do a screening, and then we're going to have a panel discussion followed by Q&A. We've got an audience, what we think are going to be about 100 people, and we're really looking forward to this. It's the end of a very sunny day in Washington.
Oh, we love that. Yes, we just happened to an event at the Empire State Building, and she showed us the view, and back east looks gorgeous. It's gorgeous here in San Francisco. We've been having a lot of fun tapping into all the different events. We were in Chile and India, and we just were in Sarasota, Florida, and it's so exciting because it does feel, I mean, you all have been doing work in this area for so long, but do you feel like we're at a new moment, and what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think we are. I mean, one thing, we're all wearing our 50 by 50 pens, so we're all in this together. But Pelle and I were just saying before, I said, I think the time is right. The dialogue is changing. Yes. There's an energy around it. I think if we can, switch a win-lose into a win-win, it feels like there's momentum around this right now.
Yeah, and you've done such important work on kind of unleashing the research on why this is better. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think I want everyone to know about what you do.
No, that's wonderful. Well, actually, May 15th, we're launching our data platform, which has data for over 195 countries and territories, and an index for 75 countries of how women got into leadership positions in governments, how they got there, what positions they hold, and how much power. And what we're trying to show is that the data matters, the numbers matter, that we can measure, but also what are the policies and what are the practices and behaviors that are actually going to move the needle to ensure that women hold 50% of leadership positions across the globe.
Yeah, and we love that. We just made a film that I think you're showing, our new film, Why I Pledge 50/50, which is completely in line with all of your work. And we have launched this pledge tool today called whypledge5050.org with 50 specific pledges and actions people can make, and then resources to follow up with them. So we've been getting so many pledges, and one of the most popular pledges that people have been making is 50% leadership, senior position leadership, and on their board. So we love, and these are people that, you can either come in as the head of a company or an educator or as a parent, but these are all heads of companies that committed to that. So it's about accountability. It's about revealing all the research that you all do. And, I think one thing, when we first connected, I just want to go back a couple years, because we had just made our film 50/50, and I know you know Laura Listwood, and made the film, and then I think there was a site about your use of 50/50, and I've always felt like it's such a strong word, and I never think of it in a binary way, which sometimes I think people interpret it as. I always say it just like, I think of the balance symbol, that we've been so imbalanced for so long, and it's rewriting things, and it brings everybody up. But I'd love to hear you talk about, obviously you've been thinking about 50/50 for a long time. Like, what does that mean to you?
Well, like you said, I think it's not binary. We've been talking for a long time in the project about the balance piece. We've been talking about either making the tables bigger, bringing more chairs to the table, as you said. And I think what it really says is, what are we looking at that it looks like society, that everybody has this kind of equal opportunity. And so we've been talking about lately about sort of balancing parity, but operationally it also means people like you, talking a couple of years ago, is how can we partner? How can we all do this together? Yeah. Right? And how can we work together across industries, across the globe, across sectors? Because it's about working together. It's not even sort of a binary thing that I'm going to get there first and you're going to get there second.
Yeah, that's the most, getting kind of choked up, but that's like the most beautiful part of today, is that the ability to link, knowing that there's this many events happening. I was tearing up. That was crazy. I haven't slept in days, so that's probably part of it. But that But there's, that many events in over 60 countries, and partners like you, and we have such amazing partners, with Refinery 29 in New York, and so many, the mayor's office in LA that just released a gender equity toolkit for cities. And the more that we partner together and link in this new pledge tool, we really want everyone to use it. I mean, anyone can use it. It's whypledge5050.org, and there's 50 specific things to do, and then we follow up with resources, and then we would love to follow up with them. See how that changed. I mean, that's what we're really talking about, is how do you measure that? And so I think the partnership part, that is I think the most beautiful thing that's come out of the last period of time is the partnership. I feel like people are really ready to do this together because, of course, the critical mass, the importance of us all partnering is what's going to get there. Well, I hope you have a fantastic event. I want to hear, but I think we're going to tap in afterwards. But thank you for all the work each of you does to help get to a more gender balanced world that's better for everyone. What we say is all issues, all races, all genders, all ages, and it makes life better for everyone. So thank you all for the work you do. I didn't understand.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Okay. So now we are going to go to watch our film 50/50, which we updated for this year. We premiered it in October of 2016, and I wanted to bring in my filmmaker collaborators, Julie and Sawyer, because we made this film together. And it really started the whole
kicked the whole thing off.
Kicked the whole, really, first we made this film, and
premiered at TED Women
right before the election, and
the 2016
then
election.
we woke up the next day after that. They thought, we're going to do 50/50 Day and model it after Character Day, which our studio also does. So, but we did update it because a lot has happened, and we actually prefaced the movie that this film premiered two weeks before the election.
2 weeks before the 2016 election, because we would have kind of made a slightly different, not a core message different film, but
I do feel to a certain
changed.
extent, we end the film really looking at what a gender equitable future will look like. We kind of trail 10,000 years of women in power, women in leadership, and then say, this is what it takes to get to a gender equitable world. And then we follow up with this 4-minute film, called Why I Pledge, which really dives deeper into our learning process.
And it's actually the very specific actionable items that will help get to that world we want to see that we painted in the film. So I don't want to tell too much. I was like, don't tell the plot.
This is a 20-minute film, 50/50.
And enjoy. I recently learned this fact that completely blew my mind. I'm at this event and I meet a woman named Laura Listwood, and we're talking. I'm like, what do you do? And she said, I convene elected women presidents and prime ministers for the United Nations. And I was like, wow, that's an amazing thing to do. How long have you been doing that? She said, around 20 years. And I was like, how many had there been 20 years ago? And she said 15. So I was like, well, how many are there today? And she said, around 50. And I was like, 50? How did I not know that? That there had been around 50 elected women presidents and prime ministers. And then it made me think, gosh, maybe we've been just telling the story of scarcity for so long, and maybe it's time we told a new story of abundance. I woke up the next morning and I couldn't wait to tell Ken and our daughters about how many women had been elected heads of state. And then I proceeded to ask everyone around me who I thought might know the number, and nobody even came close to half. I asked friends, I asked CEOs of big companies, feminists, people on the street. How many elected women presidents and prime ministers in the whole world do you think there have been? Elected, no royalty.
2 or 3.
Not many.
5, 6, 10?
I would say under 5.
I don't know.
So the answer is 50.
50, really?
50.
Oh, wow.
50.
Oh, good.
But not enough.
But not enough. Yeah.
I mean, I've always thought of myself as a feminist. My great-grandmother marched, my mother marched, I've marched. Even when I was growing up, my mom was writing her PhD thesis on the importance of mentors and mothers on successful women. And my dad wrote books about women in power. So I was completely disappointed in myself for not knowing. And it made me think, what else don't I know? And this all set me down a road to piece together a new narrative that looks at where are we really on the greater arc of history of women in power? And what's it gonna take to get to a 50-50 world? And I'm not talking just politics and boardrooms. I am talking across all parts of society, truly shifting the gender balance to be better for everyone. So in order to think about where we are on this arc and how we're gonna get to where we wanna go, let's go back to the very beginning. It turns out the oldest hominid ever discovered is a female hominid. Not a feminist, but a feminid. Okay, we actually know very little about who wore the pants back then. Not that pants even existed. But fast forward to the Neolithic age, things were pretty egalitarian. Women and men had equal social status, and the earliest written laws reflected these egalitarian societies. Women could choose to marry and divorce. Women were healers, shamans, religious leaders, warriors, and lawmakers. All genders were respected. We're talking over 10,000 years ago this was happening. And then, like many times on our journey, the story takes a dark turn. The balance shifted. My father attributed this shift to literacy rewiring our brains. Others point to the rise of agriculture, which favored physical strength, the conquest of land. We started seeing the development of military, political power. Even art became more dude-centric. Goddesses became gods, and the voices of women were silenced. In ancient Mesopotamia, one of the earliest laws stated, if a woman speaks to a man out of turn, her teeth will be smashed in by a burnt brick. Patriarchy had arrived and was literally chiseled in stone. But we know that our history has been written mostly by men. I want the rest of the story. How are we supposed to know where we are in the arc of history if we don't have the full context? And not just elected leaders, but the centuries of badass women that I know were there, paving the paths and contributing to where we are today. Let's go find them. Here we have Hatshepsut in ancient Egypt, one of the first great women leaders. Egypt thrived under her long and influential reign for 22 years. But the next pharaoh literally chiseled her face out of history. And here's Boudica, the woman warrior who led the Britons in a revolt against the Romans. And Wu Zetian, the first and only female ruler of China, who also had her story altered by the men who followed. There was Margaret I of Denmark, who united the Scandinavian nations. I had never seen all these women linked together. Like warrior queen Amina, who ruled what is now Nigeria. And Queen Elizabeth I, at the time the most powerful person in the world, ruled for nearly 50 years. While she was in power, an explorer brought her what he thought was the horn from a unicorn. She liked it so much she added it to the crown jewels. We could actually call her a unicorn. We could call all of these women unicorns. Not mythical or unreal, but women who stood out, unique to their day, courageous women navigating uncharted terrain. And as I learned more about these women, I kept thinking about my mom's thesis that looked at successful women and the importance of their female mentors. So Mom, how would you define a mentor?
Someone who helps somebody else find their own path. One question you haven't asked me, which is important, is why did I study mentors? I never had a mentor. And then I thought, I wonder what it's like if someone had a mentor. All the studies, and I had to read all the studies about men first, having a mentor made the difference in the final push toward success.
I mean, how did my mom accomplish so much without a mentor? And how did these women centuries ago accomplish so much? Did they have mentors? How did it even work back then? There was no easy way to connect with other women leaders. Hello. And no narrative over time to link their stories together. But eventually that narrative did begin, like with Christine de Pizan in France in the 1300s. 500 years before the word feminism was even coined, she is considered the first writer to examine the roles of women throughout history and to weave together their experiences, creating a narrative not just of political leaders, but of women in all different ways we contribute to society. And over the centuries, countless women would build on that narrative as artists, storytellers, philosophers, mothers, and leaders. But the mountains of imbalance were also centuries high, and for everyone climbed, there was another to struggle with. Room for fewer and fewer at the top, with more struggling to climb, more hurdles, more pushback. Like it was around this time that many of the wise, independent, and rebellious women of their day were labeled witches and put on trial. An estimated 50,000 women in Europe and the US were burned and executed. That's a lot of powerful women to lose from our narrative. And the imbalance was also becoming more and more embedded in political structures. Even our own country, which I do love, was established with the line, "All men are created equal." And this was a time of slavery. Clearly they didn't mean all men. And clearly they didn't mean women. Women couldn't own property. We had the same legal status as children. We couldn't vote. But no mountain was going to truly hold our power back. Women were rising in art, science, and culture. And pioneers were gathering, coming together to fight for more rights. Momentum was building in Europe, the US, and dots around the globe into what we now call the first wave of feminism. In 1848, 300 women and a few men convened in Seneca Falls, New York, and declared, "All men and women are created equal." The whole suffragist fight was gruesome, but the battle was worth it. 70 years after Seneca Falls, women in the US won the right to vote. But I found this part so haunting. Only one of the women who attended Seneca Falls was still alive. Charlotte Woodward was 92 and she didn't make it to the polls. She got sick on election day. And this story was such a reminder for me on how long real social change takes, and that we can't take any of these hard-fought rights for granted. And if we want to be alive to experience a more equal world, we have to accelerate the pace of change. And I do think that's happening. I mean, if we look at the whole arc of history, a lot has happened in the last 100 years. Even just in my lifetime. I was born in 1970, the heart of the women's movement.
I am a woman, here we roar.
It was an amazing surge of momentum. The second wave of feminism, which, like all change, had all kinds of challenges.
The national chairman of the movement to stop the so-called Equal Rights Amendment is Mrs. Phyllis Schlafly.
That Equal Rights Amendment, by the way, the ERA, was first introduced in Congress in 1923, was brought back in the 70s and every year after, and it still hasn't passed 100 years later. But what I didn't fully grasp about the momentum in the 70s is that while all the strides and struggles were happening in the US, women gathering, creating support groups, fighting for more rights, there was also a lot of exciting things happening on an international scale. By 1970, 3 countries had elected women as heads of state. And in 1975, the UN brought together the first International Women's Conference. Over 6,000 delegates from 133 countries traveled to Mexico City and gathered in person for 2 weeks to discuss the status of equal rights on a global scale. They made a collective plan. They'd convene again in Copenhagen in 1980.
Above all, we have learned that to achieve full justice and equality for women will require a long and patient struggle.
And they'd meet again in Nairobi in 1985 and Beijing in 95.
Human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
It's like all these decades of global gatherings were all the first and onlys, the unicorns from all over the world coming together to build networks of support. Kind of perfect that a herd of unicorns is called a blessing. It was also in the mid-90s that Laura Liswitz started the Council of Women Leaders.
I was noticing some very common themes running through about power, about how women are treated. I started asking them if they wanted to meet. They said they did, and so that's how the council started.
And picture, this was the 70s, 80s, and 90s. All the connecting was done with faxes, letters, and plane rides just to have conversations. It's a whole different world today. The internet is accelerating the pace of change in so many ways. We can connect across continents and write and share stories that aren't already there, which brings power and opportunity to far more voices. But along with that comes greater responsibility.
Our work is not done. Violence against women is global and systematic. Inequality is still present throughout every facet of our lives.
In addition to that transparency and responsibility, today's world also gives us more ways to learn from each other, person to person and country to country.
I understand one of the priorities for you was to have a cabinet that was gender balanced. Why was that so important to you?
Because it's 2015.
There are over 300 studies showing that making those changes from all levels, business, politics, and culture, makes life better for everyone, not just women, everyone. Over half of the countries that rank highest in gender equality across different sectors also rank highest on the Global Happiness Index. A lot of these countries pay for early childcare and high-quality education. They have national parental leave for both men and women. So instead of this idea of stay-at-home mom, they're supporting parents, period. Because dads are being deprived of their power too. The power of nurturing and raising the next generation. A recent study in the US showed that 50% of men who are offered paid paternity leave feel they can't take it. Men have an entire history of stereotypes and expectations to wrestle with too. And those men who are equal parents, I feel like they're the next chapter of first and onlys that are paving the path to something better. 50-50 isn't just about women getting more power. It's about everyone getting more power. It's about opening up the whole idea of what power is. Moving beyond the binaries of men and women. We're all on a continuum with different combinations of strengths to bring to the table. Power is leadership, but power is also love. Power is empathy. Power is the opportunity to find your own path. So how do we really get there, to the world we want to see? I turn to the person who blew my mind and set me down this path in the first place. So Laura, how do we get to 50-50?
Well, I think change itself goes from the unthinkable to the impossible to the inevitable. But someone has to move it along. I often liken it to a standing ovation. A few people jump up and say this is the best thing that they have ever seen. Then another larger group gets up and says, yes, yes, this was just excellent. Then the large group gets up and says, yeah, this was okay. And then finally the last group gets up because they can't see the stage.
So where are we on that arc of history? I think the generations that are alive today have the potential to reach that standing ovation.
Although, as we know, change can be very disruptive and very unsettling for people. And often there's some group of people who want to revert to a good old days kind of thing.
But the rest of us, we need to stand up and keep clapping. In the middle of this journey, our daughter Odessa was getting bat mitzvahed. And Ken and I talked so much about what we were each going to say to her at this big rite of passage.
My favorite saying in the Talmud is, when you teach your children, you teach your children's children.
A mentor is someone who helps somebody else find their own path.
These are all the people who are going to be there for the rest of your life supporting you. Each of these people has a whole room of people that supported them to allow them to be in this room supporting you. Piecing together this history and putting it into context made me see mentorship in a whole new way. Mentors are all around us, younger, older, peer-to-peer, country-to-country, and from all of history. And we need to keep them all right here, right next to us. I used to think I had the full context of women in power, but I was still letting the story of scarcity guide me. And then I realized that if we really build on the centuries of momentum, generations of courageous women of all races that have brought us this far, we can take this story of scarcity and turn it into a story of abundance.
When you get to the top of the mountain, pull the next one up. Then there'll be two of you, tired and proud. And when the second one has finished taking in the view, let her pull the next one up. Room enough for all on the mountain peaks. To pull the next woman up. Pull the next man up. Pull the next up. 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 Up.
Welcome back to 50/50 Day. I hope you're all standing up and keeping on clapping. That's what we've been doing all day here. We've had incredible interviews, and I hope you all enjoyed the film. We had an incredible time making it, and a special shout out to Refinery and their Shatterbox film program, because we made it in partnership with them, and it was really their support that gave us lift to make that film happen, and it was great. So we have yet another incredible interview today coming up. We're going to be speaking with Masih Alinejad, who is a writer, a journalist, and activist who's known for starting White Wednesdays and My Stealthy Freedom. Her work has won several awards, including a Human Rights Award from UN Watch's 2015 Summit for Human Rights and the OMID Journalism Award. She is a presenter and producer for Voice of America Persian Service and a reporter for the satirical TV program On 10. She currently lives in exile in New York. So welcome, Masih. So happy to have you. And I actually realized I didn't introduce myself. My name is Julie Hermelin. I'm one of the co-founders and co-producers of 50/50 Day. And we've had so many people in and out doing all the interviews today, and I've been behind the camera organizing all day. And so I'm really excited to be able to be here and interview you. We had a wonderful conversation earlier. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wait, oh, hold it. I can't hear. We tech check. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
1 second.
Sure.
Okay. It's all live here. It's live. It's, it's however it is. And when I'm not behind the camera, things are falling apart on here.
But I hope you can hear me right now.
I can hear you now. So welcome.
I'm glad.
So I want to jump right in and talk about the work you've been doing. Please tell us, you started White Wednesdays. Tell us about it. Tell us where it is, the genesis, and where you see it going.
Look, I'm from Iran, where from the age of 7, you have to cover your hair. And if you show your hair in public, it's a punishable crime. So first of all, I launched a campaign called My Stealthy Freedom, which was a platform on Facebook that you had to take off the scarf and upload a photo of themselves. After 3 years, I launched a campaign which called White Wednesdays. I picked the color white. I picked the day Wednesday. So I invited women to take off their headscarf in public and get together to protest against compulsory hijab. So an outfit would put the scarf on a stick and waved it in public to protest against compulsory hijab. And as I said, it's a punishable crime. But women of Iran, they resist compulsory hijab because they think this is the most visible symbol of oppression. And to bring the compulsory hijab wall, and it's the beginning, the first step towards full equality.
And so tell us a little bit about the growth of this. What's been happening with it? Where is it right now?
Look, I have to say that punishable crime. So the government of Iran arrested 29, women and men. I'm going to tell you later that men us as well. Just because they're protesting against compulsory hijab. But the thing is, within a year, 3.6 million women were warned, arrested, and sent to the court by morality police. I don't know whether you're aware of morality police in Iran.
Talk about it.
Morality in Iran in public. If you don't, cover your head properly. I don't mean, you go out just unveiled. No, just, you put the scarf on, but like your hair is out, so it's not fully covered. And there's a morality police there, and they arrest you. They warned you and sent you to court. So in only 1 year, 3.6 million women, they were sent to court, arrested, or warned in public. And 40,000 cars were impounded. Why? Because women were driving unveiled inside the car. So this is our life. So I thought that this is a time that I'm a well-known journalist. I have a number of followers. So I can give those women a platform. So I invited them to express themselves. So now our movement gaining momentum in Iran. It's a huge, movement in Iran that women taking off their headscarf and going in public and filming themselves, so to see how people react, how government react to them, how morality police react to them. Actually, they're teaching the rest of the world how it means to resist.
So now you live in Brooklyn. How are you seeing the difference between your life in Iran now and your life in Brooklyn, and also, what this journey was, how you got here?
I know, that's a good question actually, because I myself had a long journey from my own village to the United States of America, because I grew up in a traditional family, small village, even didn't have a inside bathroom. When you see me like now, you might say that, okay, this is like a Western woman. No, that's not like this. I grew up in a family that wear headscarf inside the family. And I have to say that my mom wears hijab. My sister wears hijab. In fact, all the females in my family still wear hijab, and I love them. So I'm not against hijab. But the thing is, in Iran, taking off their headscarf, it's a punishment crime, and you get lashes. You get into prison. So, and I remember that when I was in Iran, we had black and white TV, and I had to listen to the government of Iran, the clerics. But now, through all my journey, I'm a TV presenter, and now this is the government of Iran. They're listening to me. And when I'm saying that me, that doesn't mean it's me. It's millions of women. So that through social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we gain back our voice. So we broke the censorship through my campaign. Women of Iran actually telling the government of Iran now, this is the time that you have to listen to us. Because for 40 years, when you're turning on the TV, all you see is just women in hijab, wearing black. Through social media, you see the different of Iran. You see the hidden face of Iran. You see the face of Iran which has been censored for 40 years. So that shows the power of social media. I really want to say that actually the government of Iran has guns and bullets. They have powers and business. They have money. They have all the official needs. But we only have social media. So camera is our weapon. People of Iran, I mean actually women, walking unveiled in public, and they filming themselves, and they expose the morality, telling them what to wear, how to behave, and they send the videos to me. One of the video actually got 3 million views on my Instagram. The president of Iran never gets more than that views. Supreme leader of Iran never gets that views.
That is
the power of women.
You know what? That is the power of women, and that is the power of the campaign. And on 50/50 Day, we are absolutely using the activation of all of these connections online to have events around the world and to have you a part of it and to have you talk about this campaign so that so many people can support what you're doing and support your work. And we thank you so much for being at the forefront of women's social movement and this social change. Absolutely. So for using your social media voice and galvanizing all of this power, thank you. And we're so thrilled to have had you part of the day. It was so wonderful meeting you. And we're going to be going to a quick break. So, thank you. Okay, and so wonderful.
All right, amazing. Welcome back. Next up, we have an amazing recorded conversation interview between Arturo Rodriguez, Diane Tellefson, and Maria, an undocumented member of the UFW. Now, Arturo is the president of the United Farm Workers of America. He's continuing to build the union that Cesar Chavez founded into a powerful voice for immigrant workers by increasing its membership and pushing historic legislation on immigration reform and worker rights. Arturo seeks to fundamentally transform American agriculture by creating jobs, offering workers decent pay, comprehensive health coverage, retirement security, protections against toxic poisons, job security, and guarantees against discrimination and sexual harassment. Rodriguez has more than 40 years' experience organizing farm workers, negotiating UFW contracts, and leading numerous farm worker boycott and political drives across North America. And Diane Tellefson Torres is executive director of the UFW Foundation, which she also launched. Prior to that, she served as the UFW's immigration reform field director. She's been an advisor for the Mexican Ministry of Foreign Affairs through its Institute for Mexicans Abroad, and served as the deputy director of an Arizona Latino voter registration and Get Out the Vote project for the 2004 presidential election. Kind of important in my lifetime. Maria will be joining off camera and brings an important perspective from an undocumented person experiencing life right now in the world of this DREAM Act. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the introduction. We're excited to be here for 50/50 Day. I'm Diana Televcin-Torres. I'm the Executive Director of the United Farm Workers Foundation and also National Vice President of the United Farm Workers Union. The UFW Foundation is really an organization that focuses on immigrant and farm worker rights and ensuring that they are advocating for themselves and that we're changing policies and providing different services that are needed by our constituents. It's an honor to also share this space with Arturo Rodriguez, who's the president of the United Farm Workers Union, who's continued to build the union since Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta founded it. It's a powerful voice for immigrant workers and farm workers, and really developing historic legislation on immigration reform, on farm workers' rights, such as overtime legislation here in California that was recently passed. So thank you, Arturo, for being here. And then last March, the UFW, one of our UFW Foundation members, Maria, was featured on Time Magazine's cover, highlighting the struggles and the realities of undocumented families today. And Maria's story really caught the national attention after her husband was stopped by ICE at a stop sign at the crack of dawn while going into work as a farm worker. And really, the Trump administration's tactics really has torn this family apart, separating 3 baby girls and their mother from their father and husband. So we're so grateful that Maria is here to join us and to let the audience know about what is happening on the ground. So Arturo, tell us a little bit more about the tools or the tactics that the farm worker movement implements to encourage women to lead.
Well, first of all, thank you, Diana, for the kind introduction, and thank you, Maria, for being with us here today. It's our honor, really, to have you and to be present with us, and all that you've gone through is a real testimony as to the strength that you have, and as a family and so forth. So thank you very much, Maria. You know, it's been since the very beginning, I think, when Cesar, when Dolores, when Helen Chavez, when many others began the union back in the 1960s and began the farm worker movement, as we call it today, the idea is that everyone realized the importance of having women involved from the beginnings. In fact, I've heard many, many stories from folks in that early strike that took place in the 1960s, that it was the women that oftentimes had the strength and the courage to want to take and go out on strike and take the risk that was necessary with the families. And today we try to follow that by getting women in our leadership positions where the companies where they work at, either as having them leaders within their crews or within the committee that they select to represent the rest of the workers, and also in terms of ensuring that we have women in our executive board. We're still not at 50-50, but we're moving in that direction, the leadership of the organization. And fortunately, we have Diana, we have another woman, Erika, who is a former farm worker that's there on the board, and Teresa Romero, our secretary treasurer. So it's all, those things are always very important, to have women role models there for the women farm workers in particular, and for men as well, to see the role that women play and the importance of their presence and their leadership and their participation in everything that we do.
Thank you so much, Arturo. And you know, in the past year, we've really seen farm worker families who feed the United States and a lot of the world as targets of inhumane immigration policies that are being implemented by the current administration. So I wanted to ask Maria, what does it mean, Maria, to be a farm worker, immigrant woman in the United States? María, ¿qué es ser una mujer inmigrante ahorita como trabajadora del campo en los Estados Unidos?
Pues la palabra inmigrante de entrada es miedo, pero por todas las leyes que están habiendo del nuevo presidente, y significa un reto duro como mujer porque te estás trabajando en trabajos que son muy difíciles, expuesta a temperaturas ya sea muy frío o muy caliente, y también estás dejando a tus hijos, los descuidas bastante tiempo. Hay veces que en los trabajos puede llegar a trabajar 9 horas hasta 12. Yo he trabajado 12, 13 horas y dejas a tus hijos abandonados bastante tiempo, y eso pues es un reto duro como mamá, como mujer, como campesina. Está duro.
Gracias, María. Arturo, on Monday we commemorated the 25th anniversary of Cesar Chavez's passing, and Cesar and Dolores started the farm worker movement. What do you think we need to continue to do to ensure that farm worker women and women in general continue to be engaged in the struggle for farm worker rights and immigrant rights?
Well, we know that, Diana, that it's extremely important to have women at every level of the leadership, at every level of the participation that they have, whether it's as organizers or as contract negotiators or executive board members or leadership positions there at the companies. That's number one. Secondly, because then they can be role models for other folks and demonstrate their capacity and their ability to really not only to lead, but to ensure that we're doing the best that we can do for families that are farm working families in the various communities they live in. And then secondly, we need to continue to push other folks to recognize the role that women play, whether it's in the politics, in social service agencies, it's in political administrations like that we're dealing with right now. They need to know that not only does a farm worker woman go out there and be a professional and do the work just as good as anybody else does, if not better, but in addition to that, they have a whole other set of responsibilities that are so critical to the family and to the work that takes place and is necessary. And as Maria was describing, I know when we went and got overtime pay passed, what impressed me more than anything else is the women that came back to us and said that, gosh, this is going to give us an opportunity to spend time with our families now and to be able to not feel guilty because we're going to work and we're not able to be there with them and we feel like we're abandoning them. Those types of things have to change. Farm worker women are no different than any other women. They want to be able to not only provide for their families, but simultaneously they want to be able to spend time with them and to help nurture them and guide them and give them what's necessary for their own futures.
That's very, very much so, Arturo, as Maria has attested. Maria, we know that working in the fields is a challenging job, and that as a woman, those challenges are multiplied. What do you feel is the biggest obstacle that you face as a woman in the fields? Maria lo repito en español. Sabemos que trabajar en el campo es trabajo muy difícil, pero como mujer es hasta más difícil a veces. ¿Cuáles son los obstáculos más difíciles que usted encara como una mujer campesina?
Bueno, sí, lo ha dicho bien, como mujer es algo duro, porque hay veces, yo me he enterado que hay personas que tienen como miedo a acosos sexuales por parte de contratistas, de supervisores, y yo pues personalmente lo he vivido en carne propia de contratistas o gente que a veces piensa que puede como por la posición que tienes de migrante y de trabajadora del campo, pueden facilitar las cosas de lo que ellos estén pensando, cosas vergonzosas, pero ese es un reto como mujer también duro, porque aparte de que tienes que hacer trabajos duros físicamente y tienes que enfrentarte a esas cosas de gente como ellos, malos, que tratan de...
Puedes seguir, María, sigue.
Oh, es que mire, de sobornarte así, ¿me entiende? Entonces, ese es un reto duro.
Sí, me lo imagino, María, no me lo imagino porque sé que es verdaderamente algo que pasa bastante en el campo y que oímos eso de muchas mujeres. Arturo, I'd just like to ask you and just really say thank you for your leadership. I know as a person who has grown up in the farm worker movement in my career and been offered many opportunities to really be able to grow as a leader and to learn from you and from other women in the farm worker movement and from women like Maria, who we touch base with and advocate alongside every day. What is it that you would like to share and just in closing about this topic and just in some of your closing comments within this conversation?
No, and thank you again, Diana. But I think what's important for everybody to realize that a woman's voice needs to be heard as much in this farm worker movement as in any movement. We cannot have success and we cannot make the advances that we need to make without having women's voices, without having women participating, without having women in the leadership, without having women's thinking as a part of what we're doing and trying to figure out what the next steps are. That's critical. Otherwise, we just get, we don't get a whole opinion and a feeling in terms of what it's all about, because I will never understand or comprehend what it is for a woman like Maria who now has to not only work full-time, but raise 3 children by herself, 3 young children, have a husband that's now in another part, in another country, and not having the opportunity to be able to go see one another. And so I think in our movement, the role of farm worker women is extremely important at every level, and that we need to strive to make sure that that not only exists right now, but it's always a goal of ours as we continue to look for ways and to better improve the lives of farm workers and give them the opportunities that they deserve and the respect and dignity that they deserve.
Y María, ¿cuáles son una de las palabras que usted le quisiera dar a otras mujeres inmigrantes, otras mujeres que están en su situación, ya que su esposo ha sido deportado y usted sigue en esta lucha?
Bueno, que miren a sus hijos, que es yo creo que la mayor inspiración si están pasando una situación como la mía, para sacarlos adelante y que estén preparados, porque ahorita con la situación que tenemos de las nuevas políticas, uno no sabe cuándo te puede tocar desgraciadamente que estés viviendo la situación de una deportación. Y hay organizaciones que te pueden ayudar, que uno a veces no sabe, no está comunicado sobre eso. Y hay organizaciones como, por ejemplo, en mi caso, si no hubiera estado con la Unión de Campesinos, mi esposo, cuando lo detuvieron, ni siquiera hubiera tenido la oportunidad de despedirse de mis niñas, porque gracias a ellos él pudo tener un alivio por unos 3 meses. y estar con nosotros, aunque sea pues intentando que se quedara también, pero también mirando a sus hijas, aunque sea un poquito más de tiempo. Y por eso les digo que tienen que estar informados sobre muchas organizaciones que los pueden ayudar y tener en regla sus papeles, cosas así que son de verdad bastante importante arreglar en este momento, que tienen la oportunidad de estar juntos y que se pueden hacer más fácilmente, y porque si lo deportan a cualquiera de los dos va a ser otro dolor de cabeza más que tienen que pasar sobre eso.
Gracias, María, por su liderazgo. Sabemos que sigue abogando no solamente por usted misma y su familia, pero por otras familias también, y ojalá que siga con ese liderazgo. Y invitamos a otras personas que también se involucren y que aboguen y que cuenten sus historias. We encourage other women as well, like María, to tell their stories and to continue to be involved.
Sí, que no tengan miedo, porque a veces por miedo a no hablar, hay veces te pueden ayudar mucho y la gente piensa que hablando se va a perjudicar más, y no es cierto, porque uno tiene que decir las cosas que nos están pasando y sabes que hay otras organizaciones que te van a ayudar.
No, gracias, María, y sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
You're just looking at whatever.
Right.
Hello, everyone. We are going to we're going to San Francisco to visit Justin from Add2 Agency. He is an ambassador for Add2, and a lot of his audience today is UCSF. Hello, Justin. How are you doing today? Happy 50-50 Day.
Thank you. You as well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. So you're just ramping up. You haven't even started your event yet, but I see you have some people there. How's the group? Getting excited?
Yeah, this is Sean, Add2 club director, and then Jay, who is the tech organizer, and these two are Caitlin and Abigail, were helping me throw this event. So we're getting real excited about to start real quick here.
Wonderful. Can you tell me, like, in a sentence or two about Add2?
Yeah, sure. In short, we're an organization that supports sort of the next generation of young professionals looking to get into the industry of advertising and marketing.
Terrific. And what do you have planned for today for your 50-50 Day event?
Yeah, so we're planning on starting off with the movie screening, and then we're going to have a panel discussion followed by a Q&A, and then a little bit of a networking mixer at the end.
Terrific. And any specific panelists that you want to mention?
Oh boy.
Yeah, so many good ones.
Yeah, we have a super diverse panel that are ranging from people who come from the tech industry, advertising industry, marketing, and some of which who have started organizations like
Black Tech Women.
Yeah, Black Tech Women, Women 2.0, all kinds of awesome panelists. So we've got a diverse group, so we're very excited about that.
Right on.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you be part of 50-50 Day. We wish you the best luck with your event, and please do take all of the pledges. Go to whyipledge.org, whyipledge5050.org, and take the pledges and share them on social media using hashtag getting to 50-50. We want to hear your voices and your pledges.
Sure thing. Awesome. Thank you guys. Happy 50-50 Day.
Happy 50-50 Day. Take care, everyone. Okay, terrific. So now we are going to be jumping over to Dallas, Texas with our ambassador, Cassandra Washington. Hello, Cassandra. How are you?
Hey, Cassandra.
Hi. Hello.
Hello, Elizabeth. How are you?
Hello. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, Tiffany's going to come on and say hello.
Oh, hi. Oh, my God.
I love seeing all your tweets and everything. Woohoo! You're so wonderful. I love your voice online. It's so great to meet you in person, kind of.
Oh my God, we're like meeting celebrities. It's so exciting.
We feel the same way about you. We feel the same way about you.
Tell us about your event tonight.
Oh wait, here just a second.
Well, we just finished
We're
our
trying
panel.
to figure out. Let me get the. Can you
We had
see
a
both?
6-member panel. We started the conversation to get it rolling. And we just finished up. Now they're in their discussion groups. So we have about 70 people. We have a sold out crowd. It's wonderful. And they're in their discussion groups now using the discussion kits. Those resources are wonderful. And they're going deeper into conversation. And they're really about taking action. So we love that flash tool that you guys created because they're wondering, how do we move the needle? What do we need to do? And some of the things that they've been saying. So it's great.
You know, we saw
Real quick, can you all see us?
The
Okay.
party
Here, wait.
of the event.
Can we see a group
So
shot?
they
Can
want
you
to
show
see a
us the
shot.
event?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. You want to do
Take
it?
us in.
We're going to pan around. Yes.
Let's
You
see it.
gotta-
Let's see it. Oh, hey, Dallas. What's up, Dallas? All right.
That looks like a beautiful venue that you have.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is.
Lovely.
Fabulous.
It's kind of dark, so it's hard to see it, but at least you can get the idea.
Excellent. We're so happy
Here,
you're
just a
involved.
second.
Thank you for all your support.
Wonderful.
She just said thank you for all your support. She didn't have the mic.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good
Thank
to
you
see
so much. Have an amazing event in Dallas.
All right.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Cool.
Okay, so wonderful.
Okay,
now
cool.
I'm going to take off and take
Thank
it
you,
away,
Mackenzie.
Dom.
Thank you. Thank you.
But also, thank, give a little shout out to Arturo and UFW for the great interview.
All right. Fabulous. Well, thank you. Are we live still?
Yes.
Thank you, Arturo. All right. Thanks, team. Great interview. And next up, we have Angelica Coleman calling in with Lesbians Who Tech, which is an organization that I used to work with, 35,000 globally strong. Can't wait to ask my former colleague these questions. What's up, Angie?
Hi, Dom.
What's
How's
up?
it going?
All right. We have 15 minutes. I want to give you the hard stuff.
Okay, do it.
Bye. No. How are you doing?
I'm good, just living the life.
Right on. Well, we've been live streaming all over the world today and recording all these short 15-minute interviews. And I know that you founded Reboot America, and you've been running that for what, 2 years now?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive. So why don't you tell people, what was the impetus for that project and sort of how does that fit into your whole career?
Definitely. So I started Reboot America mostly in response to police violence. I noticed that, everybody noticed that there was a lot going on and there was nothing really being done. And so I decided to just host a hackathon one day. And we decided to solve public safety issues. And from there, we kind of spiraled into a tour across America where we decided to visit a couple different cities and host mini reboot weekends.
Wow.
To solve public safety issues.
So you saw police violence, you decided to throw a hackathon, and then you just went on tour to a bunch of American cities. Is that just how you do it?
Yeah, just wake up and go.
Start companies, get volunteers. Well, I'm impressed with that, and I also know that you work with Lesbians Who Tech now. Would you tell us your current title and what are you doing? What's your role right now?
Definitely. So I am the Director of Community at Lesbians Who Tech, and I'm responsible for, a lot of emails, getting people to events, and making sure that everyone's having a good time.
I love it. Okay, so this is a very Lesbians Who Tech question. Why is community important for lesbians and queer people and trans and non-binary people in tech? Why is community important, and why are events important?
It is so important to have community because without it, you just feel alone. And I know that sounds so basic, but honestly, I talk to people every day who never heard about Lesbians Who Tech and thought they were the only one. And it's so rewarding to bring them into the community and see them blossom and thrive and find their people, their next move, their careers. And having these events to just have a regularity for people to see each other, to meet, to hang out, to learn from each other and support each other. Everybody leaves on a whole new energy.
Wow.
It's great.
Wow. What is in your opinion and in your observations, what is the psychological impact of being the only of any type, the only person of color, the only black person, the only queer person? What do you think is the psychological impact of being the only?
It's devastating. It really wears down your confidence and your self-esteem when you don't look like anyone and no one looks like you and everything about you is inherently different. You just think you don't belong. And it sort of starts to play with your psyche, makes you think that you should change. Maybe you should adopt new behaviors. Maybe you should try to be more like them. And the things that make you so uniquely amazing, you start hiding because you think it's actually hurting you.
Would you describe for some people some examples of, people hear this word a lot, but I'm not sure they always know the jargon, know the meaning of it. Can you give us some examples of microaggressions?
Absolutely. Microaggressions can sometimes be so hard to validate because people think it's all in your head. Something as simple as somebody touching my hair, that's a microaggression. And saying, oh, wow, it feels like a sponge. It's like, thank you. I didn't touch your hair and say it feels like limp straw. But you would be offended if I did. Something like asking, even small things, just like, oh, you don't wear sunscreen because you wouldn't burn, you're black. And it's like, well, I probably would still. I'm light-skinned. I'm human. Something like being misgendered, being called him, her, she, when those aren't the pronouns you use.
It wears you down. Huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts, what they say.
Thank you for that description. In your vision, because I know you have a vision. That's what gets you to work every day, and that's what gets you through like the really hard hustle that I know Lesbians Who Tech does, and I know Reboot does too. So that vision of what tech would look like if it was full of like diverse people from all different walks of life, different languages, different citizenship status, different ability, different body. Like if tech looked like that, how do you think the industry would be different?
It sometimes is almost unfathomable, but it would just be so representative of the current society. And so many issues that we face today of just gender imbalances, racial imbalances, the microaggressions, creating products that are inherently like racist, sexist, homophobic, like those wouldn't happen because you would have input and ideas from everyone. Mm-hmm. And I think people forget that there's more than this one subset of people in the world that can make decisions and have ideas.
And by that one subset, you mean, what I think you mean is college-educated, native English-speaking, like white, able-bodied, cisgendered guys in their 20s and 30s?
Absolutely.
And 40s and 50s and 60s?
Yep.
I want to ask you a question about leadership, because you talked about microaggressions and being the only, and all the kind of things that do wear us down sometimes psychologically. And something that is required of people who take a position of leadership, like right now you're director of community, so a lot of people come to you with their needs. What is your advice to people in a position like yours where you are of your own sort of volition picking up some of this movement and carrying it forward? What advice do you have for people who need the emotional and psychological resources to do that kind of work?
Definitely. I think doing this work, you need to take care of yourself. You need to remember that the things that you do are going to affect so many more people. And I think that's one of the biggest things, in Lesbians Who Tech, we have this community of over 40,000 queer technologists. And if we decide, or I decide to say a certain term in an email, it could offend people. It could isolate or no longer include the community. And I have that power to decide to be inclusive in everything I do, or I have that power to fight internally in the to make sure that others are following that as well. And and I think it becomes a lot. People come to you, like you said, with their issues, with their ideas, what they want to see change, and sometimes they forget that you're human dealing with all of these things as well. And so I think it's just so important to take care of yourself and find that time, find an outlet, and find a way to basically rejuvenate every day so you can hit the ground running the next day.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Self-care.
Yeah.
I have another example because I know, or another question because I know Lesbians Who Tech is big on a culture of including allies, but also helping them understand where their place is in a culture that centers the experience of queer women and trans people of color. How do you talk about the way that Lesbians Who Tech encultures the participation of allies?
That's a great question. I like to talk about how we welcome them all, but we don't center them. And I think it's important to say that because sometimes people feel that having allies in a space that's supposed to be for queer people or trans people or gender non-conforming people, they feel that, oh, these allies are taking up space. And really, we welcome these allies in and we include them, but they are not the ones that are centered at our events. And we really want to make sure they're there to see, to observe, to hear what's going on in the community that they're trying to learn more about.
Thank you for that. I think a lot of people want to follow that example, so I'm happy that you lay it out. I know Lesbians Who Tech has a summit in San Francisco in March every year, or February, and one in New York coming up in September. What do I want to ask you? Oh, you know what I want to ask you? Like, I know you think about this stuff all the time, and you've been through many, many summits. What is your what's one of your takeaways that is just stewing in your brain right now that's like fresh knowledge, fresh learning, that is just like something that you want to share with people? Like, how can you help us up our game? What have you learned?
That we do not know everything. And I want people to know that we build the plane while we're flying it. We have really ambitious goals, and we're a really tiny team.
Mm-hmm.
And we are so open to feedback. We're so open to change. And if somebody has an idea about what could be better, or what we could do differently, like, I want to hear it. I want to hear that.
Director of Community. Oh my
Director
God. I hear your hard work, and I hear your hope, and I'm really thankful to spend this time with you. As you know, Mapbox is a supporter and a lover of Lesbians Who Tech, and I'm happy to see you here.
We love Mapbox.
Right on. All right. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Dom. This was great.
Happy 50-50 day.
Happy 50-50.
Cheers.
And we're back.
How are you feeling? Right
you
here?
know what? This has been this day has had so many kind of different moments to it, and it's been great to be along on the ride with you.
We're still here. We're still hanging. We still have energy. We're alive.
We are alive, and we still have great things to go to. So super excited about this next event we're visiting, because I believe it's April 6th. Is that where we're going?
You're on April 6th.
April 6th, and we've been talking about the pledge tool all day long.
Hello.
Hi Tiffany.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good evening. We're good. We're here in San Jose at the Tech Museum.
Oh, I love the
Wow.
Tech Museum. That's so great. And people are just going nuts over the pledge tool that April 6th designed so beautifully, and it's so exciting just to see all the pledges come in, and we've been talking about them a lot all day long.
Absolutely.
Singing your praises. I hope your ears were like tingling all day long, because that's kind of the way it's been going. So tell us about
Well, it's great to hear.
Yeah, tell us about what's going on tonight.
Yeah, so April 6th, as you guys well know, we're a global marketing agency headquartered in London, but offices in San Francisco, Singapore, and Beijing. I guess one exciting piece of news is we've had events around the globe today. So this is our final event, sort of capping off the day. So this is our event here in San Francisco. I mean, in Silicon Valley. Our San Francisco office is here, and I'll kind of pan around. We've got a team here. As well as a lot of marketers and industry leaders from the technology sector here at the San Jose Tech Museum. I'm actually joined next to me here is Eric, our creative director, who was sort of the mastermind behind the pledge school. So I'll put him on.
We're so grateful for all the people that put all their creativity and energy into the tool. It's just beautiful.
Oh, really? It was our pleasure, and it was a great challenge and a lot of fun working on it. And it's great to see the pledges rolling in and continue to roll in. And really exciting to watch it all come together.
And what's been most exciting is people, I really feel like this filled a need for people that wasn't there. And it's going to continue to go on well beyond 50/50 Day, because people can use this for all of their work. And that's the real exciting kind of ripple of the work. So bravo to every member of your team was such a joy to work with. I said, there's some partnerships where you're like, oh, it was just so good on every level. So thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. And the team has had a great time working on it. So it's been a joy for us. Thank you.
Well, we're really excited that you did global events at April 6th.
We also have a special guest, our CEO from London is here. I would like to say a quick hello. Fiona Shepard.
Hi, pleased to meet you.
Hello. This is Kim Brooks, Tiffany Schlain.
How are you?
Hi. You must feel wonderful to just know that all of your different chapters are all kind of doing something in unity together. It's very powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. This has been a 24-hour 50/50 for us. It started in Singapore almost 24 hours ago. So
amazing.
Very exciting, but very important to us, at the center of everything that we believe and do. So we've tried to mirror that right across the world.
You know what? We felt it working with your team. It was just it was an incredible experience, and I think that this tool is going to live long beyond and really help a lot of organizations get their work done by having everyone commit. So, actually, you'll love it. We've been here for
almost 24 hours.
Yes, with events we've tapped into Nigeria and India and Chile and all across the Empire State Building, all across the world with 50/50 Day events. But we were saying that it was like a telethon. Ours is an action pledge-a-thon. Yes. Because every time we go, we talk about the pledge tool. We ask people tell us what their pledges are. So like a pledge drive, like when people are trying to raise money. But we're just what was it called? What did Dom say? It's like they're asking people to make promises.
Yes.
We're doing a pledge drive for people to make commitments, and that's such an incredible thing. And
action commitments.
Action
commitments.
Yeah, and it actually
absolutely. I've made my pledges, I promise.
Exactly. And we're going to follow up with you.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do that. And I'm truly proud to be running and leading a 50/50 organization.
Yes.
It's something I truly believe in, and to be working with Jill, who I know passionately believes about this topic, we're very excited about tonight.
Well, thank you.
We've been asking everyone what their pledges are before we go. Can you tell us what one of your pledges were?
Oh.
Interesting, because I did them a few days ago now, but and actually I live them every day of the week. But I think it was to have an impact outside of my daily life that changed the world in the right direction for 50/50.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Love it. Well, thank you for such leadership in this space and for helping us bring this tool to life. You have an amazing team
It's
out
a
here.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They are great. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So, are you guys, you're just about to start, right?
We are. We're starting at 6:30. Obviously, we're going to screen the films, both of them. And following that, we have a really killer panel lined up with leaders from the technology sector. We are having our panel actually moderated by CNET editor Connie Guglielmo.
Oh, she's
we have
amazing.
Vasu.
Yeah,
Yes, we love her. She's looking forward to this. We have FireEye CMO Vasu Jackal, who's a friend and a passionate supporter of inclusion and diversity, and every day walks the walk, and the teams that she builds and her leadership footprint in that category. So we're excited to have her. We have Vivo CEO Marilyn Weinstein. We have a SF mayoral candidate, Michelle Bravo, joining us, as well as a VP of AI at HP. A leader at Salesforce, Christine Jennings, who obviously we all know Salesforce is doing some really powerful work in the area of equal pay for women, and then a partner at Adams Street Partners, Kelly Meldrum, who is representing sort of the financial investment sector.
That's an amazing
so we're looking
lineup.
Yeah.
Powerhouses.
Yeah, and you're going to
Yes,
be, are you
absolutely.
streaming it? Or you're just recording it internally? That sounds like an amazing panel. I want to watch that.
We are.
Can we
We're gonna stream it on this stream.
We'll keep streaming. It's happening now.
Cross streaming.
Yes, we're recording, so we'll be happy to share it with
That
you.
would
But
be
we have
great.
a great conversation plan, which of course culminates in every one of those individuals sharing their personal pledges, as well as, beyond that, what are their sort of insights and challenges that they've had, sort of moving their careers forward and advocating for diversity and inclusion within their organization.
That's
so
fantastic.
It's going to be a great conversation.
I'm glad you're having it at the heart of the tech industry, because we know that the tech industry, they need to be talking about this. So that is a fantastic lineup. Thank you again. We have to go. There's actually an event in our building that's happening, and we're so excited to kind of walk on downstairs and kind of not surprise them, but we're going to do a live stream.
We're just keeping it going.
We're going to do a 50-50 Congo line down the building.
Right. Keep it up. Keep the energy up. More coffee.
More coffee.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. So awesome.
Yeah, so I think are we going to WeWork, or? Because I think I'm supposed to be downstairs because there's an event at the mechanics.
We're going to be filming behind the scenes. Dom is coming with.
Oh.
Dom.
Nice.
Behind the scenes
Yeah,
right now.
but are you?
husband.
Okay.
Awesome.
And who's coming here?
Wait, can we get that?
Oh, we're just gonna cut. We're just gonna cut.
What?
We're breaking the middle. This is what's how go behind the scenes.
This is amazing.
Over there. Whoa.
Nice.
Okay, we're coming. Oops,
So
I'm
cool.
Declipping. Okay, and this is really cool because we are in the amazing Mechanics Institute, which is this is where our film studio is. It's such a cool building. We'll tell you the history as we go downstairs.
Awesome. Can you hear us okay? All right.
Okay, we're all
Let's do
coming
it.
down.
Let's do it. Come on
Going
down.
into the elevator.
All right.
I think he's on the 4th floor.
Is it on the fourth? We're in the library, right?
The library. So
Lawyer.
Oh, I have to be close to you for the mic, so we're gonna stand
There
together.
we go. There we go.
Oh, okay. Can we take the stairs?
I think we're waiting at the stairs. How do people feel about walking?
There's a locked gate.
Okay, let me tell you the history of this building, because the Mechanics Institute is one of the first buildings where people did education. It has this beautiful library. They've got a great lecture series. I'm gonna walk with you. We're like microphone. Go to the 4th floor. It's an amazing lecture series. So you need a Okay. We're back, and we're talking about that loud. Programming and pulled together this amazing program. Is somebody going to introduce?
I'm introducing up front, so you're following.
Okay.
You're going to go in the second door. Okay.
I'm following you.
No. You're going to film Skype, and you're going to go in this door.
Okay. I think you're going to film.
I want to get Skype.
Might not be able to
here.
hear me. We have to go in the other door? So we have to go in the other door? Open that door. Open that door. So cool. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, you're live streaming right now. That's Matt Box. Thank you. Hey, that's my people.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at the Mechanics Institute at 57 Post Street in San Francisco. I'm Laura Shepard, Director of Events, and we are honored to be part of 50/50 Day and its worldwide events, and the opportunity to present Bay Area women on the political front lines. Tonight, we certainly have 6 dynamic women to talk about how to become a civic leader in your community, city, and in our government, and what it will take to have a gender-balanced world. I want to particularly thank Cassandra of Madeira Group for her support in putting this incredible panel together and for leading this conversation. Now, for those of you who are new to the Mechanics Institute, I would like to invite you back on any Wednesday at noon for the free tour, which will give you an introduction to our history, our gorgeous general interest library, our international chess room, and our ongoing programs, which include panel discussions, author events, cinema and film series, our book clubs, writers groups, chess classes and tournaments, and more. Our events are open to the public, but we do hope that you'll consider becoming a member and enjoy the benefits of membership. So please come back to read, to work, engage, create, or just relax. And now I'd like to introduce filmmaker, visionary, mover and shaker, and social changer, Tiffany Schlane, the founder of Let It Ripple Film Studio and the creator of 50/50 Day. Tiffany, my hand up to
I'm so happy to be here. First of all, I love the Mechanics Institute. We moved here about a year ago, and I feel such a sense of history of San Francisco, such a sense of community. There's so many incredible, stand here. There's so many incredible people in this building, and it really feels like you're a part of San Francisco history, and I love going to the library, and the lecture series is so wonderful. So the fact that I've actually been up since 2:30 in the morning. This is my last event of the day, which is a perfect way to close. There's 35,000 events happening in 60 countries. For 50/50 Day is a global day where there's people all around the world having events just like this, big, small, any size they show. We have a film 50/50. We have a new film that just premiered called Why I Pledge 50/50 with a pledge tool. And then they're having discussions like these with amazing, inspiring people that are helping to move the needle on this issue. So we went to India, and we did a kind of a live stream to India, Chile, Nigeria, the Empire State Building, the ERA Coalition had a big event in New York. They were live streaming. Jada Pinkett Smith, the actor and activist, actually had a conversation with kids at the Sarasota Military Academy, talking about gender equality. It's been a crazy day. Incredibly inspiring. And I was so happy to see the panelists for this panel because, first of all, you know, Bay Area women shaking it up, and your work, we're friends also. But, you know, I feel like we are at a moment and we need to seize it. I mean, obviously people that have been doing this work a long time, there's been many moments. This is a new kind of moment. But, you know, more than 500 women running for Congress and people running on all levels. The line that we say in our new film is there's 519,634 elected positions in the United States of America. Yeah, it's really interesting to think about on all levels and the percentage level. And our most diverse Congress ever is still at 18% women. And so the women up here are working to change that. And I was so honored that they were doing a 50-50 event in our own building. It made me so happy. And I'm just delighted to be here. And I hope you have a great event. I have to actually go back up to the live stream, but I'm going to watch. You're recording it, so we will probably loop in on YouTube your conversation into the live stream too. So have a great event.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Everyone else is downstairs at the Mechanics Institute, so that leaves Mackenzie and I.
We're taking a little tour
Exactly.
and joining the amazing event downstairs. And we are now going to WeWork. Is WeWork ready, or are we going somewhere else?
Not quite going to WeWork. Who are we going to?
Okay.
Who are we going to? We're standing by because we have so many events happening.
This evening, so now we are into the evening portion of the programming, and we have events coming up at WeWork, at Neuhaus. The Neuhaus event I'm particularly excited about. I work out of Neuhaus, so a little shout out to Neuhaus. And they are doing a sneak peek.
Mayank, we're going to go visit
fantastic.
Mayank, my ambassador in India.
I love that.
This is a recorded film that he did yesterday. They celebrated 50-50 Day, so I hope you enjoy it. And to Mayank.
Hello. So we are from India and we are celebrating 50-50 Day at our office, and we have a bunch of wonderful people with us today. And
this is the wonderful Komal Gurisha. She's the assistant program head of an organization called Valley Initiatives. My name is Mayank Makar, and all of us are here celebrating 50-50 Day. Today we had a wonderful screening of the movie Getting to 50-50. We have some of the most brilliant educators, teachers, professionals who have gathered to celebrate this day, and they've made some action pledges. What's your pledge, ma'am?
I pledge here to educate poor section of children.
I pledge to help both men and women to find their way, and I dare to be different, getting to 50-50.
To first of all accept and listen, hear out to all the people, irrespective of what the society says.
Fantastic.
My son, so that each one has their own complementary skills and they can have a better future.
Like I would proudly say that we are successfully on our way to 50-50 as a family, whether it's my employers or maybe my family members, maybe maternal or paternal. We are already on our way to 50-50, so taking a pledge on this way is just to carry on the work which we are going on.
And as an example for the women in Mississippi.
One!
Love that.
Such
That was amazing.
great pledges from India. Thank you so much.
And you
That
can
was
go on the pledge tool and click on India and see how many pledges that they made in India, which is
absolutely
great.
Go
And this
to
thing keeps
it's
falling out my ear.
whyipledge5050.org.
Yeah.
So we're going to be going now to WeWork.
Are they teed up? Or we're gonna.
Amazing. Hello. How are you, ladies?
Hello. Hi there. My name is Sydney. I'm
Hi.
Alana. I'm Cassandra. I'm Dawoon. And we're so excited that we're joining you via Facebook at WeWork Embarcadero Center in San Francisco.
I love the energy. Love the
Tell us
energy.
about your event.
We're super excited to be here, and we're really excited for the future panel discussion and film screening of the 50-50 film.
Can you tell us a little bit about your panelists? Some of your panelists are right there, right?
They are. Definitely right here.
Okay, what are you guys going to be talking about?
So introduce yourself and what are you going to be talking about?
I'm Alexandra Kinlock, so I I run a company called The Inside Academy, and we're going to be talking about particularly female founders, I think, here at WeWork, and working with more entrepreneurs. Yeah, what about you, Daewoo?
Hi, my name is Daewoo, and I am co-founder of a dating app called Coffee Meets Bagel. We are a dating app with a mission to inspire singles to share and connect authentically. And I'm excited to talk about, power dynamic at work, and when was my watershed moment when I realized my power at workplace.
I love that. I love that. Go on. So is it just the two of you? Is it just the two of you on the panel?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we're so excited. Let's get a little pan of the room. Can we see? Are you set up yet, or it's happening soon?
We're having setting up.
Okay.
It's the beginning of your event, and then you're having you're having a reception and the panelists. We're so excited to be working with you all. We love WeWork, and you've been a wonderful partner. So just wishing you all a happy 50/50 day, a great panel.
Absolutely, and this is one of our many evening events. We had breakfast events, we had lunchtime events, and now these are kind of the party events I think about, right? These are the ones where kind of they're a little more mixers panel. You're gonna have a little more fun. Yeah. So thank you so much. Yeah. So as we said, we launched this pledge tool called Why I Pledge 50/50. Can you tell me, have you gone on there? And if you are, what are the pledges you're gonna make today?
Sure. So today I actually thought about what was really meaningful in our life. I looked at a couple things that Tiffany has posted out there, and I thought about the reason why I'm where I'm at today is because of the men and women who invested their time and energy in me. And so I really am committing to giving back and investing in mentorship of other young men and women this year. That's my pledge.
Wonderful. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Yeah, so I really want to increase the number of female founders. I run a group called Fearless Female Founders, and our aim is to reach 1 million women this year. So we're growing fast. So we just want to see more successful female founders, more funding going to female founders particularly. So really excited to be here. I think we're a great
mentorship and investment in women. I think both of these things are critical, and I think maybe you guys should talk, because I think there's a real connection there between both of those pledges. And keep going. What's your pledge?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. For me, what really gets me excited is, of course, a 50/50 representation at Coffee Meets Bagel. And I think what would be really cool right now, because my co-founder, we're female-founded startups, so at the senior management level, there's definitely a female representation. At our leadership level, there is 50/50 representation, which I'm really, really proud of. But where we lack is in our engineering organization. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that we only have 2 female engineers so far. So my pledge and my commitment is to increase the number of female engineers, and hopefully we'll get to 50/50 sometime very, very soon.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for this. The thing about 50/50 Day, which is we've been so excited about, is when we talk about bringing the change where it needs to happen, it's actually also about talking about the people in every community that are standing up and actually saying, you know what, I'm going to affect change where I am. I'm going to activate my own community. And we love that you guys, stepped up. All of these resources are free, and it's just people, around the world saying, you know what, I'm going to do an event. I'm going to gather my community, and I'm going to find the experts here that have something to say, and we love that you participated, and we follow your lead, really, and we follow the lead of all of our partners and ambassadors around the world that are doing this, and it's really meaningful. This is how the movement grows, and this is how it connects all of us everywhere. So with that, thank you.
Have an amazing, amazing event, and we look forward to hearing how it went. Happy 50/50 Day.
Happy 50/50 Day. Now
50/50 Day.
And now our next event is Allie.
All you, where you work. You take it away.
This is my I love WeWork. They're awesome. They've been incredible partners for us. And we also love Neuhaus, which happens to be where I work out of, and in Los Angeles. And they've also been incredible partners for us. They did a 50/50 Day event last year where we had the First Lady of LA speaking, Amy Wakeland, who the office of the mayor of Los Angeles and the First Lady of LA worked very closely with us on our gender equity toolkit for cities, which is part of our pledges.
Hello there, Allie. There you are.
And so now here's Allie and Jyoti and Kamala are all there. Introduce yourselves, women. They're there, and tell us about the event at Neuhaus.
Great. So I'll introduce myself. My name's Allie Nagel, and I'm the correspondent here in Los Angeles tonight. And these are our two wonderful speakers.
Jyoti Sarda, part of the 50 Women Can Change the World of Media and Entertainment cohort.
And I'm Pamela Lopez. I'm also in that cohort with Jyoti, but I'm also the director of Equal Means Equal, the new film to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment.
Yes.
And ERA Coalition is a huge partner of 50/50 Day, and we were just at their event at Hunter College, and we're so thrilled that, Kamala, you're going to be able to be moderating and speaking at the Neuhaus event. So, Allie, you want to talk? Let's talk a little bit to both these women about what they're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah, of course. So tonight we're actually here seeing the Ruth Bader Ginsburg film that is premiering to the public in a few days. And I believe both of you have seen the film.
I have not seen the film, but what's weird is that last week Ruth Bader Ginsburg received my film, and I have a picture of her opening this letter and holding my film in her hand. So I'm really excited about
How exciting.
Awesome, awesome. Do you have anything to say about the film or?
Well, I've seen the film, and it's amazing. We're all going to do planks after seeing the film. You'll know what I mean.
We do her exercise 3 times a day in the office. So thank you, Ruth, for that inspiration. Yes.
So I'm also actually the co-executive producer of Equal Means Equal. Really excited about that. And
we're actually presenting at the United State of Women Conference, which is coming up on May 6th. And there's all kinds of amazing speakers that will be there. We're going to be showing our short film and talking about what's up ahead. Illinois has a vote in the House of Delegates to ratify the ERA. On April 11th, we managed to ratify the ERA in the Illinois Senate. And now if we get the House, it's one more state down and only one to go to get full federal for women in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Amen.
And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as we will find out in that film, really laid the foundation, laid the legal foundation across all 50 states.
She's a rock star.
Is a rock star, so that we can be...
It's her legacy. That's her one wish is to have the Equal Rights Amendment passed so that her grandchildren can enjoy full federal equality. So we're excited.
So, we can think about it as a favor to Ruth Bader Ginsburg that we just get it passed. I think that we can,
I think it's about time.
It's the nice thing we can do for her.
Yes, I think it's about time. Wonderful.
So we are
yep.
to get started with our event now, but thank you so much for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Allie,
Enjoy your
Jyoti,
time.
Kamala, thank you all so much, and have a great event, and thank you for participating in 50/50 Day.
Thank you.
Okay, so
we're riffing.
We're riffing. Well, let's bring the. Should we? I will tell you.
Let's talk about the
rest
events
of the
that we-
hosts are exhausted at
It's
this
true.
point.
It's been a
This is
long
really
day, but an
the
exciting
whole,
day.
Action pledge-a-thon experience has been going on. I think we've been up since Tiffany. I spent the night at Tiffany's house. She woke up at 3:30 this morning with 2:30 this morning, making notes on the script, and I'm like sleeping.
Does not surprise me.
What are the mice in the house? The cats running around? No, it was
I think we're all on probably about 2 to 3 hours of sleep, but that's when the real magic happens.
Exactly. So
we're almost ready to go to the mall.
Okay.
In about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. We're going to the Baldwin Hills Mall. Let's just set this up because this is. Okay, and I'll tell you. So both the Neuhaus event and this Baldwin Hill Crenshaw Mall, one of our partners.
We have 2 events left.
2 events left, and then we're going to do the wrap up. So these last 2 events. So take the lead has been a huge partner of ours, amazing partners, and they have an initiative. Gloria
Shout out
Feld.
to Gloria, for
So
sure.
they have an initiative called 50 Women Take the Lead in Media and Entertainment. And it's a really incredible mentorship program and training program where they've gotten 50 women in various executive and creative positions in Hollywood to really try to change the culture through this very specific Take the Lead program. So we presented 50/50 Day to them, and two of their cohort, well, three actually, Jyoti and Kamala, they stepped up to do the Neuhaus event, and Diane Robertson, who's also one of the cohort, she stepped up and made this entire Baldwin Hills event happening. Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall is
So let's go to Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. Here we are.
And
Hi.
Hi, Julie Hermelin here. And
Wonderful
Mackenzie,
to see
darling.
you. How's it going, Angeline? What do you have planned for us today?
Well, first off, we just want to say thank you to 50/50 and Let It Ripple. I think this is exciting. We're here to obviously support the great work that you all are doing. To give you guys some background, Baldwin Hills Crenshaw, we are in the heart of Los Angeles on the corner of Crenshaw and King. It is a historical neighborhood, and we're focused on diversity and inclusion, and this cannot be any more up our alley. So we're excited all to be here. I don't know if you guys could see behind me.
It looks fantastic. I love the banner that you have. It looks like you've got a huge crowd.
And let me show you. We actually did a 50/50. Can you all see that?
I love that. That's beautiful. I love that. A huge banner. You got to get some people in front of it with some selfies and Instagram that.
We are, and we're making sure that we tag you guys. So today we have a panel discussion, obviously, about 50/50 gender equality and economic empowerment. But most importantly, we're focused on really wanting to uplift and transform this community and help kind of move the needle in working towards a more gender balanced world, right? That's what we're all trying to do.
That's what we're here for.
And do you want to just give a little mention of who's on your panel? Because you've got some incredible panelists today.
I don't have all their names in front of me, but let me just kind of
give the highlights.
We have about 5 panelists, but let me just kind of generally share with you. We have some key executives from NBC Universal, CBS Studios, an organization by the name of Glass Ladder Group, who focuses on cultural diversity. So yeah, there are a number of amazing panelists that we have today, and we're obviously just looking forward to, a great evening.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. We're so glad you could tune in. I'm looking to come down there now that 50/50 will be over as of tomorrow and actually meet you not just in Skype but in person. You've been an incredible partner and supporter of this day and making this happen down there.
Thank you, and congratulations to you all.
What's your pledge? What's your pledge on 50/50 Day? We have a whole pledge campaign, your action pledge.
And are you going to have everyone at your event do a pledge too?
We do. We're actually doing the whole. We're actually asking folks to do the whole pledge.
Wonderful.
After the panel discussion, so it's something that we definitely will make sure happens this evening. My pledge is, I have 2 young boys, and so my pledge is to, continue to teach them about the importance of diversity and inclusion and respecting females and yeah, that's my pledge.
Wonderful. Well,
that's amazing.
Thank you. And I love your pledge. I'm the mother of 3 boys, so trust me, I feel you. I feel you.
A busy gal.
And
it starts from the home, right?
It starts from the home, and we have had men all day on our panels that are inspiring, and the men you want your boys to grow up into. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angeline. We wish you the best of luck for your 50/50 Day panel and events, and so happy to have you on as a partner.
Okay.
All right.
Take
Have
care.
a great evening. Bye.
Okay, are we done with events, or we have one more event?
I think we are now doing our last event, and we are.
This is your partner.
This is my partner. So Sisimone Fafon has been a partner with us. This will be her second 50/50 Day event, and we're coming here live. It looks like. Hello. How are you? Everyone there. So Film Hero has partnered up with Hired Kind to host a 50/50 Day event at Twitter headquarters in San Francisco. Sis Moan, you want to tell us what's going on?
Yeah, we just finished. What everybody.
Wonderful.
It's breaking up a bit.
I think the what?
And then we're breaking up a
Yeah,
little
we're
bit.
breaking
so
up a
hold the
little
mic.
bit. So did you just say that you finished up the 50-50 day film or the What If film? Or the I Pledge 50-50 film?
50-50 day.
So stand up and keep clapping. We love that. Yeah, it's kind of the way we subtly imply that we should always get a standing ovation for the film, right? You tee that up.
Terrific. Anything else that you have planned for now? Are you going to get into pledges or discussions? What else is on the radar?
Well, we are about to have a discussion. We have my panelists for the rest of the week. We have Taj Jeffrey. We have Evan Hazard. We have Samira and Tiger. We have our mental health.
Hi there, everyone. Well, unfortunately, it's breaking up a little bit, so we are going to have to wrap it up. But we so appreciate you watching the film, getting involved, having you all there, and we want to wish you a very happy 50-50
make your pledges
day.
and post it on Twitter. That seems like a
Well,
friendly way. And you know, maybe
Why I pledge 50-50.
get a couple other people at Twitter to make their pledges and post it on Twitter.
Thank you guys.
That's why you're there.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Are we having the end?
No, so now I'm going back where I belong behind the camera, and we're going to bring in all of our hosts to do our wrap-up.
Yeah, the whole gamut. Everyone's
If I'm
coming
here,
in.
if I'm here,
50-50 Congo line. Get in here, the whole team. 50-50 Congo. 50-50 Congo. 50-50 Congo. Everyone, get in here.
Get in here.
Come on. Get in here.
John, by the way, we have a lot more men in this office. Okay? Come on, right?
50-50 Congo.
Okay, John,
Mike,
John.
Come on, guys. John Sawyer. Oh, Sawyer's
a lot
here.
more men in this office that are all hiding. Come on. Anybody else? I see you guys.
You are getting in here. Get in here, Mike.
Tyler, Stacy.
50-50. Christy, Nicole.
Hold on, it's coming. We're getting.
Okay, you can just stand and
I want to
wave.
tell you all that are watching while we're setting up the team shot, is thank you. This has been an amazing experience, and thank all of you for making it happen. And there's even people in other parts of the studio that you can't see. So thank you, everyone here in the Nerve Center, and thank you all the events. It's been so inspiring. The speakers, hearing about the pledges. It was a spectacular day.
You know, and I think we always talk about, you know, the point of the Global Day is to shine a huge spotlight on all the great work that's happening in the world, right? Because we hear the news and we can kind of get down about things that aren't going right. But there actually is so many people that are doing good, you know,
And
really
how can we
inspiring things.
Shine a spotlight on that and help inspire us all to kind of push it forward. So I think today we pushed it.
We pushed it.
I wouldn't even say it. No. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Birthday. Daniela was back there on the headset the whole day. Say hi. And it's someone's birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kimberly. Happy birthday to you.
And many more.
And that's
All right.
a great.
And that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap.
And we want you guys. Are we on still? Okay,
Yeah.
we're still on.
Let's do like a group chat and then we can.
Okay,
do a
but
group
should we
selfie.
sign off? Before
We're gonna
we
sign
begin?
off.
We should sign up.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
Okay, and it's a wrap.